And welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a new video where today we're going to talk about the, I think, huge news that Tim Kuniskis is no longer going to be the head of the Dodge brand, and they're saying that he's retiring. Now, no doubt in my mind that he can afford to retire. If it was a financial decision, he can afford to do it. He can go live his dream and his life however he wants to live it. But at 57 years old, I know at 53, I feel like I've got a ton of horsepower left in me, and I can guarantee you that he's got a ton of horsepower left in him. So I am here to call bullshit and say that I don't believe for 1 second. This is just my opinion. Call it my humble opinion, my speculation. I could be completely wrong, and more articles may come out later on that explain this. Maybe there's something going on in his life, but I don't believe for 1 second that he is retiring. I believe that there has been nothing short of massive conflict between him, Tavares, and all the Stellantis people from the start of the whole, frankly, dismantleization of the SRT Dodge brand. And I think it just is logical for us to think that. And here's why. As long as I've been in business, and it's been a long time, Tim started his career back, I believe it was Fiat, back in 1992. I started my career in real estate back in 1992, just literally with big dreams on where I wanted to go someday. And understanding that my dream was to go to a place of extreme high leadership, because I believed I knew what needed to be done to make a company great, to make the employees love their job, to make the company the best company that's ever existed in our industry. And I believe that Tim Kuniskis, not much older than me, in 1992 had massive dreams and aspirations. And I believe to a massive extent he is far surpassed probably what he even anticipated or expected would happen, like I have. And I am nowhere near the level of success where Tim is. And I can only dream of getting there by the time I'm his age. But right now, what I do understand is that once you achieve a place of success and end up in the positions of being able to be the person people hold responsible for everything that goes wrong, get all the blame and very little of the credit, because you have to give the credit to your team because they're the ones out there doing the work, well, then you end up in a position where you are constantly at odds in some cases, and I think in Tim's case, constantly at odds with decisions being made from above. And I think that Tim has been fighting for his life. And some of you have been downright nasty and just horrible about Tim and just bashed him in my comments, blamed him for everything. But I'll tell you, having had been an executive in a medium-sized company before I came to the company I'm at now, which, by the way, they are great. They are. I have no complaints here. They do listen, we do the right things, and we succeed at a high level. But at my last company, I started at the bottom and over 15 years climbed to the vice president position of that company and found myself for the last about 2 years working at that company. For the last couple of years, I felt that I was at odds with the leadership. The leadership had lost touch with what the customers needed, what the employees needed, and how to keep the company in the growth mode that we were in for so many years, which is the fun part. And I decided in the middle of a board meeting, in the middle of a meeting with the entire executive team, and the owners of the company, I literally stood up and resigned my position after 15 years, and I walked out. I walked out to my car, and I sat there catatonic in shock that I just did that. When I called my wife and I said, "You won't believe it, I just quit. I just quit." And she says, "Well, good. I'm so glad. I'm so happy. I'm so glad you're not going to be in that miserable place anymore and being forced into into lying to your employees and lying to everybody that the company's great, which it had stopped being great for a while, and you get to be free to go with the company that is going to appreciate you and listen to you and do all the right things. And I said, thank you, honey. Thank you for the support. And then she said, and by the way, just, are we going to be okay financially? And I said, well, my paycheck's about half at the new company than what it was at the old company. And then she said to me, can you get your old job back? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, honey. You didn't really say that. But it's a running joke in the family that I took half the pay to start all over with a company that I believed would listen. And I think that what we're probably going to find out, and I only share that story with you because I've experienced what I think Tim's been going through on a very microscopic level. When you get to an executive position and then you think that you're in charge, but the people above you are really pulling the strings and you no longer have the power to do the things work. And I think Tim is in that position. I think Tim has been put in that position for quite a while now. Remember, this is the guy that oversaw the launch of the 2018 Demon, the Hellcat, the Red Eye, the Jailbreaks, the Super Stocks, the Durango Hellcat, and some of you are like, yeah, but he lied. No, he didn't own the company to make these decisions. I have this weird understanding based on that prior company I was at, that the owners were hell-bent on just either making money or destroying the company at the end. And at the end, I knew I had to go. I had to go. And I think it's going to come out maybe that he had to go. But there's a reason why it won't come out. Because when they couch it as he's retiring, and by the way, at a big company like Stellantis, I don't expect that there's any truth we're going to get about this scenario. They like to call it retiring because they don't want to have a big swing in the stock. They don't want to have a bunch of drama. They don't want to have everybody trying to interview Tim to get him to talk trash. He likely has a very, very, very airtight confidentiality agreement and severance package that if he, and by the way, we may be able to find out in some of the public documents with that company, with Stellantis, and I'll be digging and searching, but I'm guessing that he was parachuted out with a large, very large comp package, golden parachute, if you will, to shut the F up and to go on with his life. And frankly, I don't know about any of you, but I don't think any of us would turn that down if it's literally life-changing money to where he literally can retire and never go back to work again. With that said, I don't count guys like him out. This dude loves cars. He loves muscle cars. He loves race cars. We love hearing him speak. I am going to miss him as the head of Dodge. I'm just saying it. I got into Dodge, and he was the guy that really inspired me to keep with Dodge and made me excited every time they came out with something new, even though the something new was just something a little bit better than the other thing. I would not be shocked if he ends up somewhere else. And I would imagine that any company out there, any car company out there, any performance car company out there is going to try to hire him. And we may hear that he takes that job, but not until after his severance package has expired. And that could take up to a year, I would imagine. And there are non-competes that are enforceable in some states, even though the nation is saying, we don't believe in them anymore, and they're going to make them harder to enforce. But when you take an enormous paycheck and you get lots of stock or cash in lots of stock, there are certain things that can prevent him from just jumping to another company right now. But I'd be surprised if he doesn't end up somewhere else. So that's what I think's happening with Tim. I think Tim's been screaming, this isn't working, this isn't working. And now Carlos is able to get on there and just say the nice quote of, well, we appreciate all the years that he's put into the company and he's a great guy. And the reality of it is our numbers are in the crapper, nothing is selling, nobody's buying anything. And without saying it that, well, it's his fault. So let's put somebody else in charge and maybe they'll be able to fix it. When the reality of it is the person who should step down, the person who should go away, at least overseeing anything in North America, is good old supervillain Carlos Tavares.
Dr. Evil. I didn't spend 6 years in evil medical school to be called Mr. Thank you very much.
He should be the one that goes away. And I wish we can just, I don't know, sit Tim down, crack open a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue, pour a glass with one of those big, beautiful ice cubes, and hear what really's been going on. And I don't know that we're ever going to get to hear it, because very likely he signed something, very likely they paid him, and very likely he's doing what any of us would do. We shut the F up and move on with our lives. But I will tell you right now, this is another massive indication that this company is lost. This company is completely traveling in the desert, and they are wandering without any direction or any clarity, and they're going to continue down that direction until whatever Carlos Tavares' objective is with Dodge ends up coming to fruition and absolute clarity. But let's talk about the guy that's taken over. Looks like a decent guy. Can't say anything bad about him. And it looks like he's been the SVP at Dodge, SRT Global Sales and Marketing, so he certainly understands the business, so that's great. Says he has 20 years of experience in sales, marketing, operations, having worked directly for small Fortune 500 manufacturers as well as on the client services side with an event marketing company and advertising agency of record and Google. So it sounds like a smart guy, but the part that definitely got me to take pause for a minute based on my last video where I shared with you all that if Stellantis was to sell off Dodge, I think the first buyer that would show up would be China. And, look, I'm not like lobbying for that, but I don't think anybody can screw this company up any more than Stellantis has. And certainly I'd be rooting for a good old American company to come in and buy it. But I think China would be the buyer that would show up ready, willing, and able since they bought so many other companies. And here it says, of course, a student of the China market, Matt has managed new business ventures in China and holds a bachelor's degree from the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. So I don't know, his China acumen, that could be something that makes it easier to transition this sucker over to a Chinese company. Man, I hope it doesn't happen, but I do hope that Stellantis sells it. So I don't know. We'll see. So that's the changes, and there's somebody new over RAM, of course, and big changes afoot. So that's what's taken place. I think it's just more of, I could have predicted this one. I think we all could have predicted this one. But if anybody thinks that he's retiring, I ain't buying it. I think he was pushed out. I think he's been yelling and screaming and fighting behind the scenes. It's just frustrating. And I got to tell you, I want to thank, if Tim ever watches this video, I want to thank Tim. I want to thank Tim for taking the time to personally call me. Personally reach out to me on a Sunday and end up on a video call while I'm sitting in jury duty to talk about cars. We talked about cars and the entire industry for a solid 30, 40 minutes. It was probably one of the most exciting conversations I've ever had. Call me a fanboy if you will, but I appreciate a guy that's achieved what he's achieved in business and who loves cars. And while I was in that conversation, after we got past the first 5 minutes of me being semi-starstruck by a guy that has achieved tremendous success in executive leadership at a very large company, we just talked about cars. We talked about cool cars he likes, cars I like. I shared my ideas. He shared his thoughts about those ideas. We talked about a lot of the upcoming stuff. And you know what I told him? I'm not doing a video on this call. I'm not doing a video. I'm not doing it because it was a call between two men who love cars. That's what it was. But today, I'm sharing the video. I'm sharing, on video, that we had that call. And he watches our channels. He watches Butter's channel. He watches TK's channel. He watches my channel. He watches Lucky's channel. He even watched Mr. Goddammit's channel, he told me, which was so freaking cool. And he supports us despite the fact that we have been so critical of Dodge. We have beat up on Dodge so much. Yet he supported us because we were sharing our feelings and thoughts. And he said to me, whether he was blowing smoke or not, he says, It gives us a chance to do better. And I think what happened here is he got to the place where he couldn't control it anymore. He couldn't do any better. He couldn't improve the situation. And I think he looked in his bank account and said, I'm good. And I think Carlos said, yeah, time for you to go. We're going to go ahead and help you make that decision because you're not in alignment with us and all this bullshit that we've been selling everybody. That's what I think happened. I could be completely wrong. He could just say, screw it, I want to go buy a yacht and sail the seven seas. So with that, everybody, let me know what you think about this situation. And please like, subscribe, comment, and let's all wish Tim Kuniskis best wishes and Godspeed, my friend. Thank you for all that you've done for us in the muscle car community. And long live the V8. Take care. Bye-bye.